Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Blind Judgment Podcast. I am Hugh, and this is Jay.
Welcome, everybody.
And we're going to do something a little bit different this episode.
Wait, you didn't tell me about this.
This is the Blind Judgment Podcast. It is all about twists and turns.
Okay, I'm ready.
So we're doing something a little bit different this episode. So instead of giving you some pictures and giving you some clues and also showing you photos along with the episode, I'm just going to tell you this story. And I think you're just going to react.
No photos?
No photos. You are going to go in completely blind this time.
Going in blind.
I didn't even tell you ahead of time. I just think we should go for it.
Yeah, no, this is true. I literally don't even know what the subject of the podcast or the episode is going to be about until we hit record, basically.
I am not, and even with that, I am not even going to tell you the name of this case. I'm just going to tell you the story.
Okay, another Hugh curveball.
That's what we do here on the Blind Judgment Podcast.
All right, so I'll put my phone away since you're not airdropping me anything.
I am not airdropping you any photos.
Cool.
And also, if you like what you hear, please subscribe and take a moment to pause this episode and write us a 200-character review on whatever platform you're listening to.
Wow, that's real specific. What if it's like 180? That's not going to cut it?
Has to be 200, bare minimum.
You're not a true fan if it ain't 200 characters.
No, and we will be reading every review.
Okay,
well, let's head on into the episode.
Cool. Do it.
All right, so December 6th, 2009, in Salt Lake City, Utah, Susan Powell takes her two young sons, Charlie, who's 4 years old, and Braden, who's 2, to a church service at their temple. As a lifelong member of the LDS Church, and that is the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, so they are Mormons, Susan and her boys never miss a service, and they are very close to the members of their congregation. So after the service, she walks home with her closest friend and neighbor, Kiersey Hellowell. The two women discuss the upcoming severe snowstorm that is about to hit the area and what their families are going to do to prepare for it. The group arrives back at the Powell home, where Susan's husband, Josh, prepares a dinner of pancakes and sausage. After chatting with the family for a little bit, Kiersey leaves because the snow is starting to come down. And also she lives in the neighborhood, so she just walks home. And as she's leaving, Josh is discussing taking their sons, the boys, sledding, and so that way they can go out and play in the snow. The next morning, both Josh and Susan fail to show up to work, and the boys don't arrive at daycare. This is very concerning because they are a very punctual, organized family, okay? They are like the stereotypical, like Mormon, church-going, clean-cut family. Like, whenever you think that in your head, whenever I describe that to you, like, they would fit that stereotype. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They would not be the type to just blow off work and not take their kids to daycare without notifying somebody. So this is extremely out of character. So the daycare reaches out to them, but when they are unable to make contact, they reach out to the kids' emergency contact, who is Josh's mom, Terica. So she proceeds to call the couple, but she also fails to reach them. This is super concerning for her. Now, Josh doesn't have the best relationship with his mom, but Susan would absolutely call her mother-in-law back. Like, there would be no reason for her to not call her back. So this is very weird. So Josh's mom contacts the police to do a wellness check on this family. And now remember, there was a really bad snowstorm the night before. So the couple probably had their heat like all the way cranked up, right? So there's this concern that maybe the family may have died from like carbon monoxide poisoning. So the police take this pretty seriously, and they break into the house. No one in the family is home, and their minivan is missing. However, they do a search of the house, and nothing seems like obviously out of place. Like it hasn't been ransacked or anything. The house is extremely clean, super organized, which is just how the family kept it. So nothing is really like out of place. Everything's normal, except there are 2 box fans that are running, and they're pointing at a wet spot on the couch.
Okay.
So both Susan and Josh's families are calling them. They're blowing them up. They're trying to make some form of contact with the family. Finally, at around 5 p.m., Josh calls his sister. And he's like, "Why are all of you calling me? Like, why are you blowing me up?" And she's just like, "Where have you been?" And he tells her that he took the boys on an overnight camping trip, and he's just now getting back. Now, keep in mind, there was a snowstorm, like a blizzard, like whiteout conditions the night previously. Okay, so this is super strange.
Yeah.
And his sister asks, "Well, where is Susan?" And he just says, "I don't know." Now, I know you went in blind to this story.
Very.
Very blind. But I want to do a quick temperature check. Where is your head at? Where are you at right now?
So all of these conversations with the cops, the other family members, the sisters, and then ultimately Josh, all are happening the next day.
This is the next day on December 7th.
Got it. So this is the day they did the wellness check.
This is the day they did the wellness check. This is the day it went down because, again, this is extremely out of character for this family. And so they actually, their family members live in Washington state. So they're out of state. So they are extremely concerned, and they need someone to go check on this family. So that's why this is all kind of, there's a lot of concern, and that's kind of the basis of it.
Got you. And then what was the last interaction between Josh and his wife before he said he was taking the kids?
Everything was seemingly normal. So this was, Susan's best friend was there, and she didn't think anything was really out of the ordinary. They interacted like they always do. Didn't seem strange to her.
Okay.
All right. So let's move forward. I'm going to give you a little bit of background onto this couple. Okay?
Okay.
So Josh Powell, the husband, he was born on January 20th of 1976 to his parents, Stephen and Terica. He was raised alongside his 4 siblings in the Seattle, Washington area. His family life was very volatile. His dad was abusive in a lot of ways, and Josh really struggled. So his parents got divorced when he was about 16, and that really caused Josh to spiral. Okay. So there are reports that he tortured and killed small animals, and he also had several suicide attempts. After he graduates from high school, he attends the University of Washington in Tacoma, and he joins a local LDS congregation to meet new people. He was raised Mormon, so this is just a way for him to make connections and maybe give him a little bit more structure in his life. At one of these church meetings, he is introduced to Susan Cox, who is his future wife. The couple hits it off and marries in April of 2001, only a few months after meeting, which I know does seem like a little bit fast, but apparently this is pretty typical for Mormons.
Okay.
So after the couple gets married, at this point, he's graduated college. He has a business degree. Susan is a cosmetologist. She's looking for work. They're a pretty typical young couple. And they decide that they want to move to the Salt Lake City area. So they decide to move in with Josh's dad, Stephen, so they can kind of get their bearings, get on their feet, save up money so they can eventually make the move, which is what they want to do. While they're there, Stephen develops a very unhealthy infatuation with Susan. He takes pictures of her without her knowing, and not just like a few pictures. He had over 4,000 photos of her.
Wait, this is Josh's dad?
This is Josh's
where they're
dad.
Living?
This is where they're living.
Okay.
He uses a mirror to look under the bathroom door when she's in the restroom.
What?
He steals her underwear, goes through her laundry. He goes through the wastebasket to find her menstrual products.
Oh, no.
He's a big time creep, okay? He steals her diary, and he makes several copies of it. He is like extremely obsessed with her. And she tells her friends that Stephen keeps making all of these unwanted sexual advances towards her, and it's making her uncomfortable to even be in the house.
Yeah, for sure.
So this all comes to a head in 2003 when Stephen, on camera, he records this. He professes his love for Susan, who obviously rejects him. The couple pretty much immediately move out, and they go through with their plans to move to Utah.
Was that the first time Josh heard about what was going on with his dad?
So this is interesting. Josh is aware the entire time of what is going on with his dad and with Susan. And he is like extremely close to his father.
Yeah.
Very, very, very close to his dad. They are like the best of friends, and he never says anything. He doesn't stand up for Susan. He's just kind of
he's stuck,
complicit. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, what do you do in that situation?
He doesn't do anything.
Got it.
So things do not necessarily get any better for Susan once they get to Utah. Josh's controlling side becomes more evident, and his reckless overspending really puts the couple in financial distress. Despite this, the couple welcome two beautiful little boys, okay? So Charlie is the oldest, and he's born in 2005, and Braden was born in 2007. And Susan just absolutely shines as a mother. These boys are her world. They're her everything. And everyone around her knows how much these boys mean to her. She hates being away from them from any amount of time. Like, she loves being a mom. She loves these boys. Something she really likes to do with them is to take them to church. She grew up in a Mormon family, and her faith is very, very important to her. This is a point of contention between her and Josh, because he does not like going to temple, and he does not attend services.
He's a bad boy.
He's a bad boy. So in the months leading up to December of 2009, the couple was facing some serious marital issues. So Josh's, again, his controlling behavior and now his aggression had really reached a breaking point. Susan had recorded a video on their camera, trying to make a note of their property and some property damage that Josh had done to their home. Like there were holes punched in the walls, various pieces of furniture broken, and she's just making note of that. And at the end of the video, she says, "If I die, it will not be an accident, even if it looks like one."
Huh. Okay, so this was just another one of his flare-ups, I guess. Do we know, like, are we going to get into what this flare-up was about?
We don't know what the flare-up was about. Apparently, he was a very volatile person.
And this just happened all the time.
This happened all the time. This is just how he was. Did not have a very good control of his emotions.
Okay.
So they could be arguing about anything and everything. And I believe 2007, the couple actually filed for bankruptcy.
And that's when their second child was born?
This was when their second child was born.
You see that? I just wanted you to know that I pay attention.
You're doing a really good job. You're following along thus far. Before we go any further, like what are your thoughts? What are you thinking? What are you feeling?
Yeah, so I'm definitely still just taking it all in. I do like the backstory right into their relationship. I think it's super interesting to see, who this Josh character is. Oh, and I do have a question. Where did they move after they left Josh's dad's house? Was it somewhere nearby?
No, they just picked up and moved to Utah.
Okay, maybe I wasn't paying that well of attention, but okay, so yeah, I mean, that was a crazy experience. And then now I'm thinking, like, how did growing up with someone like that as your father maybe influence who you are now as a man, thinking about Josh?
Absolutely. I think that he was probably victimized. So in the divorce proceedings between Josh's father and his mother claimed that he would watch the dad, Stephen, would watch porn in front of the kids, like in front of the family.
Whoa.
And maybe some other sexually abusive things. I think we will certainly get into that. We'll save that.
Definitely
for later,
strange though, yeah.
Extremely, extremely weird. And I'm sure that had a profound effect.
Yeah, it didn't sound like
Josh.
a normal childhood.
Not a normal childhood by any means. All right, now let's go back to December 7th of 2009. So Josh arrives home with the boys in the evening, and he is called into the police station for questioning in regards to his wife's whereabouts. So not only has Josh stated that he doesn't know where she is, but when the authorities search the couple's home, her purse, phone, wallet, and all of her possessions are located in the home. So where is Susan? Josh goes down to the police station, and when asked questions about her whereabouts, he is, again, extremely aloof. Okay, so they ask him what happened the night before. And he claims that after dinner, Susan went straight to bed at 6 p.m., okay?
That's a little early.
Yeah. And then he claims that around midnight, he took his sons on a camping trip at the Pony Express trail system in southeastern Utah, about an hour and a half from where they live.
All right. Yeah, that's totally my favorite time to go on a camping trip.
Very spontaneous. And they had camped over the summer, like the summer of 2009, but this wasn't, they didn't camp a lot. Like this is not something that they did typically. Like it would be one thing if they were a family that maybe had an RV or, they were very outdoorsy, but that just wasn't them.
Okay.
There are obviously a lot of very strange things with his story. They are really pressing him for information, and he is avoidant. And it's very clear that he is not being fully honest with them.
Right, and he came back with his boys, right?
He came back with both of the boys.
Okay.
Correct. So he's pretty uncooperative. He won't tell them the exact location of where he went camping or why he went camping. Why did he go camping in the middle of the night at midnight during a blizzard with a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old? He has no story for that.
Okay.
So at one point, the detective asks him, he's like, well, so your wife is missing. Where do you think she could have gone? And Josh says, I don't know. I think I need to go home and think about it for a couple days.
What?
Like, dude, your wife is missing.
What is that an okay response?
And you want to go home and think about it for a couple of days?
I don't have a good story yet. I need to go home and really think this one through.
Let me go home and really rehearse this in the mirror.
I got some things to Google. Okay, dude. Get out of here.
Super incriminating, right? So the detective notifies him that he's a suspect in Susan's disappearance. But the problem is that they don't really have anything to hold him on, right? She's an adult. She can disappear. It's really bizarre. It's super strange. He has a bogus story, but there's nothing they can really arrest him on at this point, right?
Yeah.
However, Josh is not the only person being questioned on the disappearance. Down the hall at the police station, Charlie and Braden, Susan and Josh's young sons, are being interviewed by detectives. So when kids are interviewed about a crime, they have a lot of different tactics that they can use. Because you can't really fully interview a young child, ask them questions. Kids are not going to be cooperative because they're really young, right?
Yeah.
So one of the tactics that they use is they have them draw pictures about certain circumstances surrounding the crimes.
Right.
So that's what they do with these little boys. So the boys actually corroborate Josh's story. And they say, Daddy did wake us up in the middle of the night and took us on a camping trip. But they claim that Susan actually went with them. When asked to draw a picture of their trip, the oldest boy draws their minivan, and the detectives ask them, okay, so who's in the minivan? And the little boy points at it and he says, Daddy's in the front, he's driving. We're in the back, and Mommy is in the trunk.
Busted.
So they ask them, what happened on this trip? And Charlie says, they drove and drove for a really long time, and then the car stopped. Daddy got Mommy out of the car, and they went to go look for crystals. Daddy eventually came back, but Mommy never returned. So this is great information, but by the time it's retrieved, Josh is already lawyered up, okay? And then it's radio silence. He's no longer speaking to the authorities, and he starts to perpetuate this theory, this story, that Susan has actually run off with another man and abandoned her family. And she's not missing. She's just abandoned her life. Okay?
And that's crazy because this lawyer is telling this guy to shut up, don't say anything. But I guess he just feels compelled to control the narrative, right?
Don't say anything more.
At all. That's weird.
Yeah. Don't tell them that you need to go home and think of a story for
Right.
a couple days. And that's just the story that he sticks with. So right after the holidays, Josh takes his sons and relocates back to Washington State and he moves back in with his father. All while this is going on, Susan's parents, Chuck and Judy Cox, are trying in vain to search for their daughter. They are exhausting all efforts. They search all over the area around like the Pony Express Trail system and really all of southern Utah. They're looking for any sign of Susan. They're handing out flyers. They are putting up posters. They are trying to locate her, but to no avail. This is particularly difficult because even though their daughter is missing, they have these two grandsons who they love and they want to spend time with, but there's this strong suspicion that their father has something to do with their daughter's disappearance. So they kind of have to play nice towards him if they like even want to see these boys. Okay.
That must be so hard.
Absolutely. And he really will not let them see. Like they're just kind of at his mercy, right?
Wait, he's not letting them see the kids?
He's not really letting them see the kids.
Wow. This guy's a real winner.
So in 2011, shit really starts to go down.
Oh, we can cuss on this podcast?
I'm sorry.
Whoa.
Okay, all right, let's run that back.
My commentary is going to get a lot more interesting from here on out, ladies and gentlemen.
So in 2011, it really starts to go down between the Cox and Powell family because all the while, Stephen and Josh are executing this smear campaign online and in the media against Susan. They're saying that she's always been promiscuous, always been interested in other men, and she's always been infatuated with Stephen. And they know this because they have her diaries, and they will post them online on like various forums. They also create multiple different websites just taking Susan down, just talking about how she's like an overly sexual person. She's always wanted to have like other boyfriends, stuff that just doesn't seem right. It doesn't seem true. According to the people closest to her, they're just trying to make her look as bad as they possibly can.
Gross.
So since they are living in the same town as Susan's family members, there are numerous standoffs in public between these families. It gets to the point where Chuck Cox, Susan's dad, and Josh almost get into a physical altercation at a local Lowe's. So the Powells file for and receive a restraining order. But the judge orders a mutual restraining order and states that both parties have to stay at least 500 feet from each other.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Now, in September of 2011, authorities raid the Powell home, but not in connection to Susan's disappearance.
Okay.
Josh's dad, Stephen, has been indicted on charges of possession of child pornography and voyeurism. They discover many revealing videos of young women and girls' body parts that were taken without their consent, and a lot of them just out in public. More content exposing Stephen's porn addiction and his obsession with Susan are discovered.
Oh, now we're cooking.
They find his personal journal, which recounts experiences that he had with Susan that he claims he enjoyed and let him know that she was interested in him. However, some of these experiences were she was handing him one of the babies, one of her kids.
Right.
And when she handed him the kid, his hand brushed up against her breast, and that apparently let him know that she was into him.
He's delusional.
Correct. He would say she'd wear tight shirts around him.
Wow.
There was one instance where she was breastfeeding one of the kids, and he walked into the room while she was breastfeeding, and he felt that was her letting him know that she's
like doing it on purpose.
Doing it on purpose because he likes it and she likes it. He is delusional.
Jeez,
okay, he's absolutely
super creepy and
super creepy. They also find that he has these like pornographic cartoons that he's drawn of her. Extremely creepy, extremely alarming. So because he's been indicted on these charges, this causes the Cox family to file for custody of Charlie and Braden. So it's Susan's parents are now filing for full custody of Charlie and Braden. After some investigation, they are granted full custody of the boys.
Question. So that was the kid's grandfather.
The grandfather, they were living with him.
So based on the fact that they were in that house with that psychopath.
They were in the house with a person who's being charged with producing and possessing child pornography.
I see. Okay, that makes sense.
Yep. So Chuck and Judy Cox are given full custody of the two little boys.
Okay.
Josh is given supervised visitation once a week. So that means that there has to be like a CPS worker there while he can't have them on his own. In the months that follow, Josh tries to get his sons back, but to no avail. This causes him to go down a spiral.
Oh, man.
Where are you at right now?
Well, I'm kind of thinking that the dad may have had something to do with Josh's missing wife.
Yeah.
And because I always thought it was weird that he made copies of her diary. And so now I'm starting to think that this was a plan that they had for a while. And that's maybe why Josh didn't want to leave the house, even though his dad's hitting on his wife, like beyond hitting on his wife, like assaulting his wife, basically.
He is assaulting her. Yes,
and
he's
the fact
abusing
that
her.
You don't leave right away makes me believe, there was some plan and that they needed to stay there longer and collect evidence or a story, things for a story. And so that's kind of what I'm thinking now. And I guess another question that I have is, did they not check, as part of them investigating Josh's dad, did they also investigate just like the entire house? And if so, like, did they find anything on Josh?
So they did. So when they were raiding the house, they confiscated Josh's laptop computer. However, he had just purchased it secondhand. So it was like a secondhand computer. Had just purchased it. And they did find some searches for child pornography, but it would be kind of hard for them because he had just gotten it and they didn't know if maybe the person he bought it from had made those searches. So they did find that on Josh.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's where I'm at.
All right. Oh, let's take a deep breath. Let's decompress. Whoa.
Oh, is this?
And then let's move forward.
Okay, let's do it. I'm excited.
On February 15th of 2012, social worker Elizabeth Griffin Hall has arrived at the Powell home with both Braden and Charlie to supervise the boys' weekly visit with their father. So keep in mind, it's just the social worker and the two little boys, because there is this restraining order between the Cox family, who has custody of the boys,
right,
and Josh. so they can't be in contact. So the social worker is the one who drives them to these visits at Josh's home. So as Josh answers the door, he grabs the two boys, pulls them inside, and locks the social worker outside. She repeatedly knocks on the door and unsuccessfully tries to plead with Josh. So because this could be a potential kidnapping situation, she kind of steps to the side to call 911 when she begins to smell gasoline. So while on the phone with authorities, she goes down to her car and moves it down the street. She is trying to relay information to the police when the house explodes.
Oh my God.
It is quickly engulfed in flames. And when the emergency responders arrive, they find the bodies of Josh, Charlie, and Braden inside. So after investigation, it is concluded that prior to setting his house on fire, Josh Powell chopped his sons with an axe, nearly decapitating them. However, their cause of death were listed as carbon monoxide poisoning, so they died in the fire.
How much time could he have had to do that?
He had been planning it, so in the days leading up to the incident, Josh had donated all of his children's clothes and toys to charity, and he had sold a bunch of things. And he also said his goodbyes to a few friends and his neighbors.
No, but from the time that he takes the kids from the social worker to the time that, firemen show up.
Oh gosh. So that was one of the most, in doing this research, you can find the 911 call. And that was one of the most harrowing 911 calls I've ever listened to. So it's about, I want to say it's about 10 minutes long. And the 911 dispatcher is he's being so difficult with the social worker. The social worker keeps telling him I have a really bad feeling about this. I'm supposed to be doing this visitation. But their dad just grabbed these little boys, pulled them inside. And the 911 dispatcher is like, this isn't really an emergency. And she's like, no, I can smell gasoline. I think something really bad is going to happen.
And so during all of this time, while this conversation is happening, Josh is inside killing his children?
Yes, he's inside. He probably had the axe ready to go. He's indoors. He's in the home, trying to kill his kids and lighting his house on fire.
Wow. He really is a bad boy.
Yeah. Say when I decided to cover this case, I was like, I don't even know how to tell you what this is about. This is a really difficult case. It's so hard. It's so difficult.
It's so weird that he would care to donate their clothes if he planned on killing himself and the kids, what? And now, wait, it's just so weird. I mean, obviously he's not in the right mental space ever, but...
Yeah. But, why kill the boy?
Because if he can't have them, nobody can.
That's so crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, he didn't leave a note or anything. So now he's dead. The little boys are dead. And nobody knows where Susan could be.
Oh, my God.
We don't know what happened to Susan.
And they're not actively searching for her anymore.
They're no longer actively searching for her. It's 2 years later.
Yeah, because I guess everybody's just believing the story that she just up and left,
because
started a new family.
There's genuinely no evidence. They don't have anything to go off of.
Did a search ever go down? Obviously, he drove somewhere.
No, so they have done numerous searches, and there have been times where they have found And this was even like 2 years ago. They found like bones, potential human remains in that area where he said that he was camping where he was. But it just kind of doesn't go anywhere. It's nothing that can identify Susan.
And she's still classified as a missing person?
To this day, she is considered a missing person. Yes. So for a little bit of aftermath, Stephen Powell, Josh's dad, he was found guilty of child pornography, served 5 years in prison, and then he died in 2018.
5 years is all you get for child porn?
That is all he got for child porn, among other creepy, disturbing things that he also had. But he only got 5 years, served the 5 years, and then like right after he was released, he died. So the Cox family sued the Department of Social and Health Services in Washington because they prioritized Josh's parental rights over the safety of the boy. Like he's under suspicion that he murdered these boys' mother, okay? His dad has done all of this creepy stuff, and yet they're still prioritizing him being able to see the boys and be around the boys, and now they're dead. Like, this system was supposed to protect children, and instead they helped facilitate their deaths.
Wait, so are they suing then the state?
They're suing the Department of Social and Health Services of Washington State. So they are suing them in Washington. Okay?
Yeah.
So after a lengthy trial, the court rules, and this is in 2019, they rule that the Department of Social and Health Services was in fact negligent, and they awarded $98 million to Charlie and Braden's estate. And that money has been donated and used to set up a foundation that helps survivors of domestic violence. They also lobbied for laws in the state of Washington that would ban visitation rights for parents who are being wanted for murder to prevent something like this from happening again in the future.
Yeah.
So they are trying to make the best of this situation. They're trying to do whatever they can. And like we said, Susan Cox is considered a missing person. Her family has a website set up where they have posted a reward for any information on their daughter's whereabouts, and this is still current. And that is, unfortunately, where this story ends.
Wow. That is very dark and sad.
Yeah. So what do you think of this one? What do you think happened to Susan? What do you think happened?
For sure believe her message about if I ever go missing or if I end up dead, it's not an accident. 100% believe that that's the case. She had to have been buried somewhere, just hidden, her body hidden somewhere. Like, I think he killed her. I don't know why. Like, do you have anything on what was going on at that time in their relationship? Like, what was he so upset about?
They were having marital issues on finances was the biggest one.
That he was the cause of, right?
That he was the cause of. So that was their, by all accounts, I mean, and I never knew her personally, clearly. But everyone said she was just like a good, sweet, just like normal lady. Like, not, he even said when interviewed about it, because he kept up with this claim that she like skipped town and like left her family and married someone else or left with someone else. And people, like, he was interviewed, they asked him, they were like, well, has she ever been unfaithful towards you? And he goes, no, she never has been. So he has like nothing to go off of. You know what I mean? I think he was probably, with all of this stuff with his dad, he was probably victimized his entire life. And that put him in this very dark headspace. And because his dad had this odd infatuation with his wife, that was probably another really big cause of contention.
Yeah, I wonder if he blamed her for that.
Who knows? Probably, most likely. This is a really difficult one. Yeah.
Yeah, well, it was a good one. It was a good story. It's a good case. All right, well, let's go ahead and wrap this one up.
Let's wrap this up. So we didn't include any pictures while recording this episode, but we will have some pictures associated with the case that we'll put on our Reddit. The link to that will be in the show notes, so if you want to go check that out. And to kind of close this out, we will leave you with the 911 call placed by the social worker. So until next time.
Later, y'all.
Bye.
Reporting. Hey, I'm on a supervised visitation for a court-ordered visit, and something really weird has happened. The kids went into the house, and the parent, the biological parent, whose name is Josh Powell, will not let me in the door. What should I do?
What's the address?
It's 8119, and I think it's 89th. I don't know what the address is.
Okay, that's pretty important for me to know.
I'm sorry, I can't. Just a minute. Let me get in my car and see if I can find it. Nothing like this has ever happened before at these visitations, so I'm really shocked. And I could hear one of the kids crying, but he still wouldn't let me in. Okay, it is just a minute. I have it here. You can't find me by GPS?
No.
Okay, it is, I still can't find it. But I think I need help right away. He's on a very short lease with CSHS, and CPS has been involved. And this is the craziest thing. He looked right at me and closed the door. Are you there?
Yes, ma'am. I'm just waiting to know where you are.
Okay. It's 8119 189th Street, Court East, Puyallup, 98375. And I'd like to pull out of the driveway because I smell gasoline and he won't let me in.
You want to pull out of the driveway because you smell gasoline, but he won't let you...
He won't let me in.
He won't let you out of the driveway?
He won't let me in the house.
Whose house
He's
is
got the
it?
kids in the house and he won't let me in. It's a supervised visit.
I understand. Whose house is it?
Josh Powell.
Okay, so you don't live there, right?
No, I don't. No, I'm contracted to the state to provide supervised visitation.
I see. Okay. And who is there to exercise their visitation?
I am. And the visit is with Josh Powell.
And who
And
supervises?
he's the husband that I supervise.
So you supervise and you're doing the visit?
Yeah,
You
I
supervise yourself?
I supervise myself. I'm the supervisor here.
Wait a minute. If it's a supervised visit, you can't supervise yourself. If you're the
I
visitor...
do supervise myself. I'm the supervisor for the supervised visit.
Okay, well, aren't you the one making the visit? Or is there another
I'm the
parent
one-
that you're supervising?
No, I'm the one that supervises. I pick up the kids at their grandparents.
Yes. And then who visits with the children?
Josh Powell.
Okay, so you're supposed to be there to supervise Josh Powell's visit with the children.
Yes, that's correct.
And how did
he's the husband of missing Susan Powell. This is a high-profile case.
how did he gain access to the children before you got there?
I was one step in back of them.
Okay, so they
He
went
shut
into the
the
house
door
and
in
then he
my face.
locked you out.
Yes, he shut the door right in my face.
All right, now it's clear. Your last name?
My name is Elizabeth Griffin Hall.
Griffin Hall is hyphenated?
Yes.
And what's your phone number, Elizabeth?
This cell phone number is 360-990-9955.
And agency are you with?
Foster Care Resource Network. And the kids have been in there by now approximately 10 minutes. And he knows
How
this
many
is
children?
a supervised visit. 2. Braden is 5 and Charlie is 7.
And the dad's last name?
Powell, Powell. L.
2 L's? 2 L's at the end of Powell?
Yes.
His first name?
His first name is Josh.
Black, white, Asian, Hispanic, native?
He's white.
Date of birth?
I don't know. He's about 39.
How tall?
5'10", 150 pounds.
Hair color?
Brown.
Did you notice what he was wearing?
No, I didn't notice what he was wearing.
Is he alone then, or is anybody?
I don't know. I couldn't get in the house.
Are you in a vehicle now or on foot?
I'm in a vehicle. I'm in a Prius, a
color?
2010 Prius,
What color
with
is
the doors locked. But he hasn't opened the door.
Ma'am,
I rang the
careful.
doorbell and everything.
What color
I
is it?
begged him to let me in.
Elizabeth, please listen to my questions. What color is the Toyota Prius?
Gray, dark gray.
And the license number?
I don't know. I can look. ZMH.
Zebra Mary Henry?
Yes.
All right, we'll have somebody look for you there.
Okay, how long will it be?
I don't know, ma'am. They have to respond to emergency, life-threatening situations first. The first available deputy
Well,
is responding.
this could be life-threatening. He went to court on Wednesday, and he didn't get his kids back. And this is really, I'm afraid for their lives.
Okay, has he threatened the lives of the children previously?
I have no idea.
All right, we'll have the first available deputy contact you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Hello?
Hi, ma'am. Were you calling about the fire in the 8200 block of
Yes, he
188th Street,
exploded
Cordy?
the house.
Ma'am,
Yes,
do you know
he
the
exploded the house.
okay? Do you know the exact address of the house, or are you?
Yes, it's 8119 189th Street, Court East,
Okay.
2 hours.
Okay, stay online. Do you know if anyone's in the house?
Yes, there was a man and
Okay.
2 children. I just dropped off the children, and he wouldn't let me in the door.
Okay, stay online for the fire department. Okay, I'm going to get them on the line. Do not hang up. Hold on. Stay on the phone here with me, ma'am.
There's County Fire Medical Aid.
Hi, fire. This is Rose. Lisa, transferring a lady who has an exact address of the house that is on fire there in the 188th Street, Court East neighborhood.
Yes? Okay, I would have gave them that exact address. I dropped it, sorry. Just a minute. I can hear the fire trucks, but they're not here yet. It's 8119. There. What? We have an engine there. And people are saying there's not somebody here, but I was just there, and there is somebody here. There's 2 little boys in the house, and they're 5 and 7, and there's an adult man. He has supervised visitation, and he blew up the house and the kids. The kids and the husband and the father were in the house? Yes, he slammed the door in my face. So I kept knocking. I thought it was a mistake. I kept knocking, and then I called 911. You saw him go back into the house when the flame, right before the flames? He didn't ever leave the house. He just opened the door. The kids were kids were one step ahead of me. They're 5 and 7. They were one step ahead of me, and he slammed the door in my face.
And you think he might have done this intentionally?
Yes.
Okay. County, go ahead with what you need. I'll pass that on to my
Thank you very much, Fire. Ma'am, what is your name, please?
I'm Elizabeth Griffin Hall, and I'm the supervised visit.
Okay, hold on. Elizabeth, hold on just a moment, ma'am. Okay, so your last name is Griffin what?
Griffin Hall, Griffin hyphen Hall, Hall.
Okay, and your phone number 360-990-9955 is your personal cell number. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
correct.
Where are you at right now?
I'm at 81112 on the same court.
Okay, so you're waiting down the street at 8112 109th Street Court, 189th Street Court East.
Yes.
Okay. And are you in your car?
I was in my car. I'm standing outside it right now.
Okay. Is that your home? Is that your home address?
No, that's not my home
Okay.
address. I was the supervised visitation coordinator. I picked the children up. Parents.
What is this person's name?
His name is Josh Powell. Just a minute, the sheriff's here. Let me
Okay,
tell him to
go ahead and talk.
in the house.